Hi everybody, this is Mark from Linux Gaming Central. Today's video is going to be sort of an extension of the video that I created a few days ago in regards to setting up Kazeta and making cartridges. This specifically is dedicated to making cartridges and making things a little bit easier when it comes to a graphical user interface. This is the application right here. It's called Kazeta Cartridge Generator. As opposed to typing the KZI file by hand, this allows you to just fill in some fields and it will automatically generate the appropriate fields in the KZI file for you. So I'll have this link in the description, and if we go to the releases page here and we scroll down to the assets, there's both Linux and Windows support, but please do keep in mind the Windows support is experimental. I'm using Fedora and that's what I'll be using for this guide, so I'm going to click the app image here to download it. There it is. So if I open my downloads folder, and we want to make sure that this is marked as executable, so right click, go to properties. This is if you're using KDE Plasma. Go to the permissions tab, check the box for allow executing file as program, and click OK. Now we should be able to open this up. So there it is right there. So I'm going to be demonstrating making a Doki Doki Literature Club cart. First and foremost, we need to format our SD card as extension 4 or USB flash drive, whatever it is that you're using for your cartridge. I personally use GNOME disks for that. And you can see here is my SD card. So I'm going to click this three-dotted button here, go to Format Disk. I'm going to leave the options as is. Click Format. It's going to warn me that everything is going to be erased. I'm okay with that, so I'm going to click Format. And now I can create an extension 4 partition on this SD card. So if I click this plus icon here, I want to use all the available space that's available on it, so I'm going to leave this as is. I'm going to click Next. The volume name is important, how you name it. Make sure there are no spaces and no special characters. So because this is a DDLC cart, I'm going to name it as DDLC. And the file type, make sure that it is extension 4. This is very important. And then just click on Create. Just give it a few seconds, and there it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to open up my file explorer and mount this DDLC SD card. So there it is right there. The next thing we want to do is obviously get the game itself. If you go to ddlc.moe, scroll down a bit, go to download now. This will open up a new window. And here we have the Windows and Mac versions. The Linux version is also included in the Windows version. So I'm going to click on the Windows version. There is my DDLC game. I'm going to open this up. There's all my game files. And I'm just going to extract this to the root of my SD card. Okay, so there is my DDLC folder. The sh file is the Linux version of the game, and obviously the .exe is the Windows version. So if I bring this application back up, I'm just going to start populating these fields. For the game name, we are going to call it Doki Doki Literature Club. And a nice thing about this is as you type the name game, it will automatically put in the game ID for you. It'll put it in lowercase. It will omit any special characters that you put in there. So if I put in a exclamation point, it won't be generated there because the game ID, it's important that we don't have any spaces or special characters, just like with the volume name. As for the executable path, we want to point it to the ddlc.sh file. So let's go ahead and click Browse. As far as the folder location is concerned, it's going to point to our removable media. So I'm going to click DDLC. There's my game. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to select this .sh file here. If you already have an existing icon, you can select Browse here. But since I don't have an icon.png file here, what I can do is I can easily get one from SteamGridDB. Now the first time you run this, it's going to ask you for your API key. So what you're going to want to do is on SteamGridDB, if you go to the top right corner here, you'll need to log in to your Steam account. And after you've logged in the drop-down menu, go to Preferences, and then click on the API tab here. This is your API key. I'm going to copy this over, and I'm going to point this into the text field here. Just click OK, and that should be it. You'll never be asked for that again. So it's just one time. Icon.png, that's ideally what I want, but I'm going to save this to the root of the SD card. Click Save. Alright, so if we go one folder up, there's our icon. It's already in PNG format, and the nice thing is that if it's not in PNG, it will automatically convert it to PNG for you and make sure it's 32 by 32 pixels. This icon is already filled in for us. Now, as for the runtime, with the Linux version of DDLC, we do not need a runtime, so we can just leave that as none. We don't need any of these advanced options for this particular game, but just to demonstrate additional parameters, what that does is this will append anything you put in this text box after the executable path. So say, for example, this was Sonic Adventure 2. This -q command will tell the game to skip the launcher that opens up. But in the case of DDLC, it doesn't do anything, so I'm just going to clear that. Now, in regards to game scope options, you can check the documentation here for game scope. These are all the options that you can put in. So if you wanted to set a custom resolution, or if you wanted to apply a filter like a pixel filter, as you can see here with this Sega Genesis example, you could set a pixel filter here, but many times this is not needed. If you were using Kazeta Plus and you wanted to use Mango HUD, you could do -- Mango app, but this is for vanilla Kazeta, so we don't need that. Now, in regards to the Proton or Wine path, this allows you to use a custom compatibility tool, such as GE Proton, and make sure it's pointed to the Proton file there. What happens is if you click on Test Cartridge, it will use GE Proton, this version of GE Proton, when testing it, because by default, when you test a Windows game, it's going to use Wine. But if you wanted to use GE Proton or some other compatibility layer, you could use this to use something else. Kazeta Plus, if you wanted to set the DDLC as the default game that boots up, say you have a multi-cart setup, you could use that to make it the default game that boots when you turn the console on. If you wanted to use a custom input plumber profile, you could also browse for the path here. But again, this is just for the sake of demonstration. We don't need to worry about either of those. We just want to make things simple. Now, if we want to download a runtime, we can select a version here. If I wanted to use Linux 1.0, I could just select Windows and select download, and I can download this right onto the SD card. And it's the same thing with Windows or any of the emulators. And that's pretty much it. If you wanted to test the cartridge before putting it onto your Kazeta system, you can do so. Just click on Test Cartridge. So it opens up a terminal window in case you need to debug the game for whatever reason. That's useful if you want to test your game before actually testing it on your Kazeta console. So we're done here, so I'm going to generate the KZI file, and I'm going to save it onto the root of my SD card. I'm going to leave the file name as is. I'm going to click Save. If I go to the SD card now, there's the KZI file. Let's open it up, make sure everything is good. Name equals Doki Doki Literature Club. Everything that we need is here. Now let's say for some reason I wanted to use the Windows version. So I'm just going to unload this cartridge here and make a new one. I'm going to call this Doki Doki Literature Club Windows. And same thing, just browse For your game folder, go to the exe version. Icon path, I'm just going to point it to the icon that we previously fetched. And under the runtime, make sure it's under one of these Windows options. I'm just going to do Windows 1.0. And we need the Windows runtime. So click download and store it onto the root of your SD card. Just give it some time to download. Okay, again, we don't need to worry about any of these advanced options here. Let's test the cartridge, make sure it's working. Okay, there it is. The game is running through Wine. If for some reason I wanted to use GE Proton, for example, I'd select whatever GE Proton version I want to use and make sure it's pointed to the Proton file here. We click Test Cartridge. It's going to create a prefix, which you'll see right there. Just give it some time, and eventually it should run. And there it is. Make sure I generate this, just so you can see the difference between these two files. So this is the native Linux version, and this is the Windows version. We want to make sure that the ID is different than the native Linux version because it's going to create some problems if the ID is the same. And notice that importantly, the runtime is specified here because we need the Windows runtime. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for this tutorial. I will see you guys in the next video.